Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today, which is Analytics, Empower Your Users with Power BI, put on by CSSI Technologies. My name is Joe Toswald. I'm president of CSSI Technologies. Your presenter today is Deborah Newcomer, our senior GP consultant here at CSSI. We're excited to put this one on. Analytics is near and dear to my heart. I go back many years as an aficionado of crystal reports, and as technology evolves and you see what you can do with some of the new tools such as Power BI, it's quite very exciting. We have an interesting presentation today from Deborah, who's going to be giving you an overview of the sort of with Power BI and how it works. That will beget questions. Feel free to use the chat in the meeting to ask questions, and we'll have some time at the end to address those. And of course, feel free to follow up afterwards. We are recording this webinar today, and within the next week or two, we will post it on our website. So if you wanted to go back and review, or you wanted to share this content with someone else in your organization, you'll be able to do that. And of course, we'd be more than happy to discuss how we can help with analytics and in your organization. So with that, I'll turn it over to Deborah Newcomer.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Joe said, my name is Deborah Newcomer. I've been with CSSI for going on close to 20 years now, working with pretty much anything related to GP, implementation, sales, training, support, lots of different report writers, Crystal, FRX, Management Reporter, SQL reporting services, most recently Power BI. This is a fun tool. It's interactive. For your users to choose what data they want to see and how they want to see it. So we're going to take a look. I'm going to take you into my Power BI desktop. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to get too technical today. We're just going to show you what Power BI is, what you can do with it. If there's interest, we can certainly schedule a second webinar where we can get more into report from scratch and pulling in data. So just let us know if you're interested. One of my Power BI reports. So you can see I've got a lot going on the screen. I've got several different pages down at the bottom. So this is one report file with lots of pages. As you can see, it's all visual. We've got lots of different visualization tools, which I'll show you. Kind of go through different sheets here to show you what all you can do. And we'll start at the first sheet. So as you see, you can import images like your company logo. You can, excuse me, add text boxes so that you can have like a header on each of your page. And then you just build these different visualizations. So as you can see over on the right here, and I'll come back to these, but we've got two different tabs. We've got the visualizations where we choose how we want to see our data, and then we've got our fields. So I'm going to come back to this on the fields in a little bit. And I want to show you also here on this report header, this can be dynamic. So I'm viewing right now, this report is viewing all the information for Territory 2, which is shown over here in Slicer. These are called data slicers. This is how you can choose which data you want to view, what date range, and these are all set up by you based on your fields in your report. So if I wanted to view for a different territory, if I just change it in the slicer, it changes my dynamic header, so that's all taken care of. So now let's take a look at some of the visualizations. Visualization can change how the data is viewed. Let's go to a different one. So here I have this page is mainly sales by customer class. So I have a visualization here called sales dollars by customer class, and then these are my classes, 42, H84. It's a percentage by class, but if I hover over a part of that visualization, then I can actually see the values. But I've chosen just to show a percentage and the class. Excuse me. So now if I want to view this data in a different way, I select it, go up to these visualizations, choose lots of different charts. So you can select how you want to view the data. And each user viewing the report can choose to see it their own way. Also do what's called a card, which is just a single value. Like this number is telling me how many customers I currently have. Also, if you want to change colors or the looks of your visualization, come over here. We've got a legend first. The legend is where we tell the visualization what we want to see. So our legend is class, and then the values we have is price. That's how I'm getting my sales dollars, which is a sum of the price in the item sales history table. Also then click on this formatting tool where we can go to tell us if we want to have a title, which I do have a title hard-coded on my visualization. And I can see it's called sales dollars. I can also change font colors, how I want the title aligned, the text size. Those same settings you can choose for like column headers, data colors. You can change what colors you want to see for each one of the items in your legend. So maybe this I decide I want to see green instead of blue, and it changes it just like that. You can also change background colors. So if I'd rather see that in gray. So I always say, other than figuring out which data you want to include in your report, the hardest part is deciding what to use. There's so many options.
Deborah, what level of control do you have on giving users permissions to change things, or perhaps locking it down because you get it the way you want it and you don't want them to mess with it?
Well, there's lots of different ways to do that. Right now, I'm viewing what's called the Power BI desktop, which is a free. You just click on reports on your desktop. Now, if you want other users to have the desktop, that's fine. In that case, security would be based on wherever you're storing the file. Now, another option is, I was going to get into this later, is there's a Power BI service. It's an online service where you pay a month per user, and you publish these reports, and the users access it on a web browser. And if that's the case, then you can make view only, so they can only view and change. So if they're going to view them in the browser, you set up the security to All right, so you've got the formatting. You can also change fields. So now I'm going to stay in the same visualization, sales dollars by class. And you see that the value is price. Let's say I want to see quantities, not dollars. All I need to do is find that field that's in this table. And these are all the different fields available that are brought into my report. And if I want to see quantity instead of price, I can just drag that into the value field. As you can see, it adds to it. It's a little confusing now, so I don't want to see price. I can delete that. And now I'm viewing quantities. If I hover over, it says quantity. However, because I have a static title, that change. So that's the only downfall to having static titles, is you have to go into the tool, go to the title, and change So I just use static titles because I think it looks prettier. But if you have users that are going to be changing values around a lot, then you can just skip the title altogether. So, like I said, I'm viewing one file with all these different pages. You can easily add a page. You can right-click, so you can duplicate a page, so you don't have to start from scratch. Maybe make a copy of it and then make your changes. Rename, delete, or hide a page. So I also have a second here. Now this set of reports are strictly GP tables. All these fields and tables I have over here are coming from GP. The first report I started with actually was pulling in data from multiple sources. And while we're on the subject of sources, you can pull data. It doesn't have to be just GP. I think I read that you can use data from like 98 different sources. If I come up here and I click on Get Data, yeah, come on. It's going to show you the most common types of sources, like Excel, SQL, text, CSV. But if I click on More, then it'll show us the complete list. So you've got all these different sources you can use, lots of different types of databases, Access. Oracle is in there. I think I even saw QuickBooks in here, Exchange. So pretty much just about anywhere.
And that's one of the really cool things about Power BI is you can have one data visualization tool that's tapping into various information silos you have across your business. So perhaps your accounting data or whatever, inventory, whatever you have in GP. You have some data in an offline spreadsheet that you want to incorporate, maybe another SQL database, and you can get all that into one screen so the users don't have to hop around among different tools.
Yep. So then once you've pulled your data in, you'll see all the tables over here, and you can view the fields that are within each table just by clicking on the show the tables, and you can see the fields. Now the fields will however they were created in the source. Now these are, I'm using SQL views of GP, and probably what's not known to everybody is GP does provide you with views already written, where they've combined tables into a SQL view and given you pretty field names. So they're not just a code, they're more, user definable, or you can tell right away what they are by looking at the field name. Even though that's the case, you can still change the names when you're in here. Like if I want to, vendor ID, I want to change that to number, you can just right click and rename. Just rename your field here. And if that field is used in any visualization, that's going to automatically update the visualization. So if I come over here to my purchasing page, I don't know if I have vendor number on here anywhere, but it would change. Excuse me.
So that's not changing the field name back in the original database. It's just changing it to something that makes sense in it for the sake of your user in Power BI.
In this report, yeah. You can also add what are called measures or formulas. If I want to, let's see, let's go to my sales line items table. So in this table, I've got all the information about my sales, the item, the description, customer, and then I've got quantity, and price and cost. Here we go, extended price and cost. If I want to see profit line item sale, it's not in my table, but I can create a field or create a measure. So if I right click and say I want to measure, open another little window where I select the calculation, and they've got all kinds of calculations. I'm just going to do simple subtraction. You've got all these options to choose from. So I'm going to do a subtraction, and I'm going to take my unit or extended price, drag. Oh, I guess I have to start here. Take my extended price, and then what do I want to subtract? I want to subtract my cost. And say OK. And that should give me a new measure somewhere. Extended price, yes. Okay. Well, I'm not sure where that went. But anyway, I've got some other measures that I've created here, like sums. You can do a sum of a field. Date. Let me show you a bit about date fields. I'm going to jump back to this report here because I've got lots of different date slicers. I'm going to go back to, I think, this page. So you can add date ranges. You can do a little slider tool. By the way, as I'm changing these filters over here, it's changing my data. You can do different types of date ranges, like last, whatever, next, or this, and then a number, and choose whether you want to see it by days, weeks, or months.
This gets you out of having 50, 20 different reports that are all hard-coded, and instead you have one flexible, dynamic report that's flexible across all these different ways, and the different users can use different ways. And
yep.
It's all intuitive in terms of how you use it.
Mm-hmm. You can see I have other slicers too. It's been created from the data I've pulled into my report. Also do, let's say I want to see this report. It's kind of a busy report here because it's so small. Enlarge the view for just this one visualization by clicking focus mode, and then that'll show you full page. And you can always go back to your report. You can print. There's really not a way to print reports, but what you can do is you can export to PDF, and that's just going to export every single page into one PDF file. I've already printed one I have on my desktop here just to show you what it looks like. Basically just the same information we were viewing on the screen, but now in I've got a 5-page report, and then that you can share with users who are accessing it through Power BI. Okay. Another cool tool is page. And there's this ability to ask a question. And you can pretty much use it like it says right there, natural language, to ask a question about your data. And then it will generate a visualization for you based on what it thinks you want to see. So if I say a question, it's going to start a visualization for me. You can say total price by item number. Okay, well, it shows by SOP number, but right there, it just created a visualization for me just by me typing in a few key fields. So that gives you a start, and then from there you can modify the visualization. And like I said, you can go to the tools, the colors, put a border, even pick a different visualization. Then then I had mentioned about the viewing Power BI on a web browser. When you have users who access it that way, to make these reports available to them, you go up here and click on Publish. That will publish the Power BI to the web. And then what that looks like is I have a Chrome open. There we go. So I'm in Chrome right now on my Power BI website. This report published. So what you do here on the website is you create workspaces. We use a lot of these reports in-house. So we've got a lot of CSSI workspaces, and then the reports are published within each workspace. So you can grant, I think it's, you create members to these different workspaces, so you can say who can see which workspace.
So maybe you want on the shop floor to see the production reports, but not the company financial data, and vice versa.
Exactly. Yep. Sales team to see reports. HR, of course, you only want HR, payroll people to see those reports. Once you've selected a workspace, then you select the reports from that workspace over here. So now it looks just like I was in the desktop. We have the filters over here. And here again, if it's view-only user, then they're just going to view. They can still do the select different filters by using the slicers. They're just viewing, but they can't add fields or remove anything. But if you have users that do have the ability to make changes, then they can go to this Edit Report, and then now I'm going to get the Fields tab, just like we have in the desktop. So we do this a lot in-house. You know, we have web browser users who are making changes to these reports. So you just want to be careful that if they're being changed here, then you can do an export or download. You download the report, you can open it up in the desktop. So you just have to be careful of who's changing what. You always have lots of copies. So let's jump back. How are we doing on? Okay, we're good on time. Any questions coming in?
I have a question. So one we have here. So is the data real time? Is it a snapshot? And how frequent are the snapshots? Can you speak to that?
It is, yes. There are two ways. There are two ways to query your data. I don't know if I can come up here and show. Let's say I'm going to get data from my SQL server. You can do what's called an import or a direct query. Import is going to import all your data into the Power BI database, which, by the way, this information is all stored on Azure, Microsoft Azure server. But the import's going to pull all your data into the report, and then you can refresh it, refresh button at the top, so that maybe each time you open it, you can refresh it. Method is used for things that aren't changing constantly. If your data is only changing, you know, a couple times a day, you can refresh it a few times a day. What we do is we have automatic refresh. We have it a schedule, so that refreshes, I think, every couple of hours throughout the day. That's the quicker method because your data is all in the report, and so it's gonna your visualizations will come up faster. Or you can do a direct query, which is a direct link back to your source. So that might be a little slower. You know, there's no refresh. It's always live, but it's going to connect. When you're making a change, it's connecting back to your server. So that's a bit slow. So we use the import method and just refreshes.
And setting that schedule of refresh for whatever's appropriate for the type of report. Maybe it's data that only changes every evening, so you set it to schedule an update every day, and then you're not putting a load on the server constantly.
questions?
How are you able to, like, so if you have a table of data, question here, are you able to dump it out to Excel? Can you show how you might do something like that?
I don't think you can. Well, there's this. You can't export it to Excel because it's just they're images or they're graphs.
Well, but what about the table?
That I don't know if you can from here. Now these are all, like in the case of my GP reports, they're all SQL views. So SQL, you can export that data to Excel.
Right. How hard is it to learn this from the admin perspective? What would it look like for a company to adopt this, and you know, how can CSSI help? Is this something that a user has to ultimately rely on a partner for, or is this something, you know, the company can achieve enough competence to be able to get up and running and manage themselves? Can you speak to the learning curve?
Yes. Yeah, it's like I said, the desktop, Power BI desktop is a free download. Not real technical when it comes to that kind of thing, or like IT stuff. I downloaded it and just installed it, and it was there. The hard part is probably getting the data. If you're familiar with SQL and SQL views, I don't think you'll have any trouble. You just go to Get Data in SQL Server and then find the views you want. We can definitely help you, point you to the views that you need. But as far as you getting started to download it, it's there. You just create a new report. Pulling in the data is the difficult part, what you need. And then linking the data, like let's just take a look at my queries. Edit. Actually, I'd rather go to my one. So if we go up to Edit Queries, this is showing me all the views I have. Some I did create myself. If I create a new SQL view, I usually prefix it with Word view. But all these were already there. GP gave me these SQL views. And then what you can do is you can go to the Advanced Editor. Pretty much just showing you how it's connected. Now this I actually used an OData field, or OData is another source. If I look at this one in my Advanced Editor, you'll see it's just basically just pointing to that view. Also manage, where's my, go back, let's click here. I'm trying to remember where, here we go, manage your relationships. So most likely your tables are going to be linked, need to be to each other. So you come in here, it's kind of like if you've ever done a Crystal report or Access report, you know, you have to link tables on common fields. Select this relationship, and if I edit, it's showing me I've got a one-to-many relationship, and the filter, it's linked in both directions. It's linking from here to here and from here to here. And it automatically, oh, here we go. The highlighted column is what my key field is, or my linked field. So that's how it's known to link these two tables together by vendor ID. I renamed this to vendor number. That's why it's, the field name is different here. But that's how it's linked. So I think that's the most difficult part, knowing what tables to pull in and how to link them.
And so creating the SQL, particularly if you start to get into more sophisticated queries. So that is something that the CSSI team has a lot of expertise in, and can certainly help with, as well as the initial training on the product. But the good news is once you get your SQL joins set up and get it into Power BI, someone like me can start to mash buttons and customize reports pretty easily.
Yeah.
If there are any questions while Deborah's chatting here, type them into your chat window and we'll address them. Feel free to let us know if there's anything you want to dig into a little deeper today.
I've got a card, which is one of these visualizations you can select here somewhere. But yeah, I think renaming the fields makes it user-friendly. Switch themes here again. Like I said, finding the scheme is probably the hardest choice. Here's where you can insert an image. Just browse out to an image file. You can paste in your logo. That's pretty much all I have. If we have any other questions.
All right. So while we look to see if there's any questions in here, Power BI is a great tool that essentially lay across various data silos in use within your business. Certainly, there's a nice integration with Dynamics GP if you're using that for your accounting system. But the good news is it's not just your GP data; it's any other data, and makes it easy to distribute that data to kinds of different users in the organization who don't have to be technical in order to use it, because it's letting them manipulate reports in a way that anyone can do, dragging clicking buttons to change the view. There are all kinds of applications from one of the ways we use it here for a lot of data around getting sales metrics, sales by customer, how are we performing on customers across different rates of different periods, CRM, opportunity pipeline management, being able to get a quick overview of what's happening there. So operations, certainly a lot of potential for integrating with operations metrics. How are we doing on utilization, productivity? You could tap into your inventory and have flags to see where you're in trouble or where you have too much inventory. Customer service, customer support. You could tie it into your tickets and where how are we performing there. You can create dashboards, which you can then cause to be sent out, automatically published on a schedule to users that you determine. So if you had people not necessarily in the system today, but you wanted to get snapshots on some periodic basis, you can set that up. It's very nice in that way. If you're trying to tie in Excel sheets or things like that are offline, you can link back to those. So very flexible tool.
And you can also, I forgot to mention that when you publish these reports, you can also view these on mobile devices. They have apps for Android phones and tablets, iOS devices, those 10 devices. So these can be viewed
without having to develop a mobile application. You can get to your remote workers, particularly for field delivery folks, your sales folks, customer support people in the field. So a lot of the sky's the limit, and I'm sure anyone on the call can think of a couple applications where you can use this sort of analytical data within your business, and probably everyone would use it a slightly different way depending on what business requires. Don't see any questions coming in.
I'm going to take a look at this pricing page. Oops.
Oh, yeah. How much does it cost, Deborah? That's the important thing.
Well, the desktop that I was doing most of my work in is like I said before, a free download, unlimited use, free. If you want to publish reports and make them available on a web browser, then those users are going to need have user licenses and logins, and that is $9.99 per user per month. You do get a 60-day free trial, so you can sign in and give that a try and see how many users you may need. Then there's a PI premium, which I doubt anybody here would need. It's $49.95 per month, but that's for large organizations that have so many users they don't want to pay the $9.99 a month. It's your own dedicated computer. I think a lot of people maybe would just get by with the desktop free version for a while, play with it and share it, you know, just by file on another desktop. The 360-day web browser.
Distributed across your organization.
Yes.
You go towards the Power BI Pro.
And even when you download the desktop, you still do have to create a login to Microsoft Azure. So you still create a sign-in. It's free, no charge.
Okay, well, thank you, Deborah, for walking us through that presentation on Power BI. I certainly hope that this was interesting and informative for our viewers today. We are happy to discuss further with you how we might be able to help you utilize Power BI in your business, and look forward to continuing those conversations. So with that in mind, we'll say sayonara for today.
Thank you.
Bye now.